Hello there. Welcome to Miller's Laboratory. This is Sue, and I'm really happy that you joined me. Today I am working on a project, and I thought perhaps I would take you through the process this time. I've never done that before, but I was inspired by some envelopes that I found at our local thrift store, which are these really nice big manila sort of legal sized envelopes. I think this is probably an attorney's office, I'm not sure. These are like over 10 inches long and about 4¼ or 4½ inches high. Nice size. They're like skinny journal size, and I've already made a few skinny journals recently, so I thought, maybe I'll try my hand at some flip-flop journals. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I went through my envelopes and picked out some that I wanted to use, and I'm going to call these extreme flip-flop journals. The only reason is because I'm using a lot of envelopes. I have watched a few videos of other people making them, and I think I'm using more envelopes than most people do. I tend to be an excessive person in just about everything I do, and so I thought it would be fun to just make a book that flips and flips, and maybe I won't put quite as many pages in it to make up for the amount of envelopes. But lots of envelopes mean lots of pockets and lots of fun things to tuck in, so that is my plan. I have two of them over here in various stages of being done, and this is the third one. And so today I'm going to show you how I put the envelopes together to make the base. All right, so this first envelope that I have here is like a little greeting card type of an envelope, a thank you card or something like that, and I'm going to hook it to this one as my first step. Now my whole base is going to just simply be an accordion, and I will show you that when we're all done. So if you ever get confused, just remember that we're just going up, down, up, down, up, down, all the way across. Okay, so I want this to be the front cover, so my second envelope is going to hook on here. Now this is a big wide, maybe wedding invitation envelope. I know it's hard for you to see inside there because of the white. If I just tuck that in there, you can kind of see that it's got these, I call those corner posts. I don't know what they're really called. But what I would like to do with this envelope is actually divide it in half. So I'm going to fold it. I'm just going to put these over to the side here a little bit. And I'm going to fold it in half with the flap on the outside. All right, so now when I attach this, I'm going to attach it here like that. So we'll have down, up, down. See that? Okay, so we have a little issue here, and that is that this flap obviously isn't going to open, so we need to separate it into two flaps. And the easy way to do that is just to cut a little strip off on either side of my crease here. So I've got my scissors, and I'm not making this very wide, just like a millimeter or two on either side. It's not important that it's perfect. And I'm cutting right up to the fold line here, and then I'm just going to snip that little piece out. All right, so now I have two flaps, one here and one here. All right, now the other thing that I'd like to do with this envelope is, because we have these posts, or whatever you call them again, on either side, I would like there to be one in the middle so that when you open on each side, it looks like its own separate envelope. So we're just going to build one of those out of regular copy paper. And I just have a scrap here. It's kind of a nasty looking scrap, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to cut myself a little piece. And I'm going to fold that in half. All right. So now, let me just slip this in here. So now this is going to fit right in the center here, and the crease on this will line up with the crease that I made in the envelope. All right, but I also would like this width and height and shape to match this one, and vice versa over here. So I'm just going to slip that back out for a minute, and we're going to want this to be as wide from the fold out as this one is here. So I'm just going to make a little mark there, like a little crease, and then we'll do the same over here, measuring how wide that is right there. And then I'm just going to snip those two sides off so that they're the correct width. Obviously, I chose white copy paper because this was a white envelope. If you were doing this with some other color envelope, you would want to try to match the paper color to the color of the envelope. All right, so there's that. And you can kind of see this is interesting because this one is narrower than this one over here, but that's okay. I mean, that's how they are. They're mass made. So then there's a little bit of an angle coming down, so we're going to want an angle here and an angle here. So I'm just going to cut those off, and I'm just going to guesstimate those. I don't think anyone's going to look at it that closely to check if they match exactly. Let me just slip my card back in here again so you can see. So now this is going to fit right in there like that. And I'm only going to glue it down here where it's below the paper. I'm not going to worry about trying to glue it in the middle up here. I just don't think it's going to matter that much. So we're just going to put a little glue put a little bit of glue along the bottom of this and glue it in. Let me see again where I need it. Here, I'll just lay it this way. Then I can see right where the line is. And yes, I have the pin in my mouth from my art glitter glue. Okay, there's that. I'll just slip that back down in. Make sure we're matching the fold. Getting it right up to the top there. And press it down, and there it is. So now what we have is two stuff doesn't always cooperate when you're on the film. Two separate little end things on each side there, whatever you call those things. And here we have one as well. Let's see there. Okay. All right. So that was a little bit of work, but not bad. So now we have this section, and we're going to glue, as I said before, this onto here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just fold this over so I can see it clearly. Take the pin out of my mouth here. And art glitter glue is nice to use because I know it's going to hold really well. Nothing's ever going to come apart. Glue stick works just fine too. This is a little quicker for me on camera, so I'm going to do it this way for right now. Okay, and we're just going to line this up, and I'm going to kind of center it here and put it in place. And just make sure that you can still fold this over. If you put it way too tight into that fold, it's going to get hung up there and you won't be able to fold it, and we don't want that. All right, so down, up, down. So it's time for an up, and we're going to be using this envelope next. Okay, and it's going to attach right on the back here. And let me look at my other one and make sure I'm doing it correctly. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to pretty much put that right at the bottom there. You can see we're just going to do the same thing. I'm going to put glue on this flap. The only thing is I don't want it to be all the way up to the top. So I'm just going to make a little mark there with my pencil where to stop with the glue. Just a little one is all I need. All right, and we'll get our glue on here. So I hope everybody's doing well today. We're having a rainy Sunday here where I live, And rainy Sundays are good and bad in the summer because our summers are short here in Michigan. But sometimes it's nice to have an excuse to stay in and play and not have to feel guilty about not being outdoors. So I'm enjoying my day. All right, we're just going to put this one on here like this. Again, make sure I can fold it okay, and that's looking good. Real good. All right, so now we have, woo, look at that. Coming right out here. Okay. Now the next envelope that we're going to be putting on is one of these big ones. And it's just going to go right on the back. So this needs to be a down, and what I did with this one is I folded it back like this. So we have this opening here, and I'm going to use that in the book. Okay, so we're going to put this right on here to match up here. So we're going to be gluing, I'm going to leave a little space there. We're going to be gluing from here down to here. I'll just put a little mark here and here so I know where to stop. All right. So have you all tried making flip-flop journals before? I'm wondering. I know I'm a little bit behind. Everybody's been making them for a while now, and I've always admired them. I think they're really cool. I actually did make one last summer just for myself to take on a trip to use as a travel journal, and I had a lot of fun with it. I put it together really quickly before we left, and then just took a few art supplies with me and kind of worked on it as we went, and it was fun to do. I enjoyed it. All right. Now I want to add a second envelope on the top of this one, and it's going to be this coin envelope. I'm going to put it on here on its side like that so that you can open it and put something in this way. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to put glue on that flap and just glue that down. Let's make our marks again here so we know where to stop with the glue. Oh, and you know what? Before I do that here, I think I'm just going to add a little strip of decorative paper in there to cover up this manila in there. I did that on the other two and I liked the way that looked. So let me just pause for a second and do that. I just cut a little strip of paper, and I'll tell you about the paper in a second. This is, I'm using the same kit here to do all of my linings on all of my envelopes. And it is a kit from Roxy Creations. It's, I think it's called an ephemera kit. It's a lot of little pieces of documents and things. It's really cool. And I just liked the neutral colors of it, and I just really liked it. So that's what I'm using. Okay. I'll put a little mark right there. I know where that is. Okay. So we'll come in here with our glue. Not very exciting here watching the gluing, I'm sure, but it's part of the process. And if you're following along, it's fun to have the time. My time that I'm gluing can be your time that you're gluing too. So there we go. All right, so we're doing good here, guys. Okay. Let's just have a quick little review of what we've got. All right, we've got this one, and now this one. So the next one is going to be, again, this guy here. And we're going to just attach him with the flap. On this one, I am not going to be using the side as the pocket. It's really hard to get into the pockets from the middle. I do have one envelope in here that's like that, but otherwise, like this one, I'm actually going to be closing this off and cutting off the top and making it into a top loading pocket. So that's just going to go on there just like that. We just need to put our flap underneath, and let's get her glued up and done. So I don't know if I said, I'm going to have a total of 15 envelopes in this book. And I'm only using 12 of them for the main construction here of the base. The other 3 I will show you in a future video what I'm doing with those. They're smaller ones, and they're being used a little bit more like a like an add-on type of a thing. So okay. And we can close. Very good. All right, and there we have that one. Very nice. All right, now I just want to take a quick peek over here at this other one that's done so I can kind of get an idea. Yep, we're going to come right on there with this next one. So the next envelope I chose to use is this old legal sized or business envelope that is coffee dyed, and this one is just going to go right on here underneath just like that. And I think what I'm checking here is just to see how I varied them up and down. I mostly kept everything pretty close to the bottom, but not always. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up, put my glue on here, and close it up. Using really neutral colors in these, and I am using a lot of book pages. I have a lot of books, I have a lot of papers. I think like a lot of us that do junk journals, I'm kind of a pack rat, and if I see stuff at a garage sale or a yard sale or a thrift store, then I'm going to pick it up. And so I have a lot of that stuff, and I want to use some of it up. So these books are going to be really, really neutral, like very little color in them at all. And I'm going to use book pages and papers that you can write on. And I think in each signature I will just have one digital, which is kind of a neutral. It's a digital print of it's a print of a digital file of wallpaper. I love wallpaper images, and I buy a lot of them, and I have them from different sellers on Etsy, so I'm going to be using those. All right, so now the next one we're going to have on here is this plain white one, and this one has this is a nice, really nice feeling paper. It's really smooth, and this has this plastic strip or adhesive strip with the liner on it. So I'm going to take the liner off, and then we're just going to attach that right on here like this. All right, so it's getting pretty easy here. I do want to just look, because I think this one is just a little bit bigger, so I'm not going to put any glue just right at the very top here. I'll just leave a little space there because this envelope's just a little bit taller than the other one. Sure it still folds okay, and it's relatively straight. Good. All right, there we go. This is another instance where we have this pocket here that I am not going to use, so we will take care of that when the time comes. Okay. All right. Now next we have a window envelope, and we're going to do some fun stuff with this one too. But let's get it attached and get our base all done first. This one is just going to go on here like this. I mean, you can kind of see they just kind of go one right after the other here until you get to the end. So you can just keep going as long as you want to, as long as you're willing to finish the book, and you know, if you have a use for one that's that big. But it's very fun. It's very addicting, especially if you have a lot of cool envelopes. It's very fun to start putting them together and use them in a new way. Okay. All right, so there's that one. I'm getting there. All right. Now the next one is another window envelope, and that one is going to go on here like this. Okay. Let me just make sure I did that correctly. Actually, it's going to go on like this. Like this. Okay. So, more glue on our flap here again. It's a lot easier to see where you're going if you fold it the other way. And so, hope everyone has had a nice weekend. I had a lazy weekend. It's my favorite kind. When I say lazy, it means I didn't have to really go anywhere or do anything. I love having stuff to do too, but I like my quiet weekends as well. Last week we had kind of a family reunion, and it was so fun. I saw some cousins that I haven't seen in a really long time. I just enjoyed myself so much. All right. Oh, we got a little writing in this one. Let's take that out. Okay, let me just check. Make sure we're on track here. Okay, this one, the flap's going to come right over on the back. So it's going to come over and go on like this. Just like this. And this one I'm going to center up here. So we'll put it right there. And glue on here again. So different flip-flop journals can be, you know, you can have them flipping and flopping all different ways. And different offshoots inside there where things flip, you know, multiple times out this way, or, you know, you could, once you get kind of the hang of how they're put together, you can really have fun doing some cool stuff with those. So again, mine is just a simple accordion here, but you can definitely make them more complex as you want to. All right, this is going to be my last envelope on here, and if you are watching closely, you can see that there's a little problem here. And that is, I've already used the flap on this envelope, and this envelope is a top loader, so there's no flap on the side for me to use to hinge it to. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to fold over the bottom of the envelope underneath to create a hinge there. So I'm going to do it right about the same width as, I'm going to keep it right about the same width as this envelope on top. So I'm just folding that over and giving that a good crease. Okay. All right. And then I just don't really want, this is like double thickness here, and then in the corners even thicker than that, and I just don't need all that thickness on there. So I'm going to snip off the corner on both sides. All right, and then I'm going to snip off the folded edge here. So we'll just use the big scissors for that. Okay, so now we have two pieces here, and I only need one of them. So I'm just going to cut off this inside flap that I don't need Let me turn this around because I need it over here like this. It's going to cut this part off so that we're not dealing, we don't want to make it any thicker and bulkier than we have to. Okay. Good. All right. And you could take these little bits out too. Probably be a good idea. Just these extra little corner bits that are in here. Okay. Yeah, that one is glued down pretty good there. There we go. All right. All right. Okay. So let's put that back upright. So now we just have this nice hinge here that we can glue to this last envelope, which is going to go right here. Let's put our glue on there. I don't really like the way that looks there. Let's just trim that off. It doesn't matter. It's going to get covered up anyway for the most part. See that where it's kind of bunching up a little bit? Let's trim that a little bit more too. I'm going to be reinforcing all of these edges with masking tape. So little things like that are not really going to show. You're not going to notice them. Okay, so a little bit of glue here. There we have it. All right, guys, so let's just take a quick look at what we've got. That wasn't so bad. This was going to be the front. So we're going to flip, 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 and here, and then we're going to flip the other way. So there will be signatures in between all of these. Oop, that one is actually like that. Okay, all right. Now I'm just going to show you one other quick thing here before I finish up today with this first part. And that is what I decided to do with the one window envelope, the larger one. I decided to make it I'm going to put a slot pocket in it. I like those, so I just thought it would be fun to put that there. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up so I'm working with just the one envelope here in the center. And I could have done this before I put it together too. That might have been a good idea, but I thought I'd show you all the construction first and then we'll come to the fussy stuff here. So I have this little mat. It's very old. I used to teach rubber stamping classes like 20 years ago, and I'm pretty sure I have it from that. I think what it's intended for is, was setting eyelets. It's really hard, but it makes a nice little cutting mat because it's small and you can slip it into small places. What I want to do here is be able to cut through the top layer of this envelope, but not the back. So I'm just going to slide this into the envelope here. Now I've got a nice hard surface underneath there to do my cutting on. All right. So we're going to have a slot pocket. Let me just show you what that looks like here on this one, if I can find it. Oh, Pete. Let's see. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. Here it is. Okay, so here's our window envelope, and here's the slot. And we're just going to be able to slide a card down in, and then you'll see it in the windows there. A tag, probably a tag in there. Okay, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is reinforce the area where I'm going to make the cut, just so it's 2 layers of paper and a little bit stronger. So I'm going to go back to my same paper, and I think I'm just going to use this same piece because it was right on the top and it's like the perfect width here. I'm just going to cut it down just a smidge here. It's almost as wide as the whole envelope, but not quite. And the reason it's that wide is because I want my slot to be a little bit wider than where these envelopes are. So when I slide my tag down in there, it goes all the way out and underneath the edge of the envelope here a little bit. I don't want to see the edge of it inside the window. Okay. And then I'm just going to cut this a little bit narrower. It's a little bit too wide for what I need. All right. So we're going to work with it about like that. And we can put this wherever we want. You know, I could put it way down here. You could slide your tag in and your tag would just stick out more. But I'm going to come up about to here with it. We're just going to glue it down. And we'll give it a second to set there. Now you could round those corners if you wanted to, or cut them at an angle. That would look nice. I think I may have done that on one of the other books. Your choice. Okay, all right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to use, I'm going to use my screw punch. If you don't have a screw punch and you don't have like a long reach punch, I'm not sure how you would do this. I think you'd just have to do the slot without cutting the hole, which is fine. I used to have a little hole cutter way back in the day that was like a little round thing that you hit with a hammer, and that worked really well. I just don't even know where that would be anymore, but that wasn't something that I bought to use for eyelets. All right, so I'm going to come down to the center here vertically and then come way over to the edge, and I'm going to just punch a hole there. And I am just moving my head a little bit here so that I'm looking straight down at it. It just helps me to get it in the right spot. Make sure that is pushed in all the way. So what if you don't have one of these little mats? I would think you could put anything like a piece of chipboard in there. An old book cover would work. Probably even just like a magazine or something like that. Just something so that you have a barrier between the front of the envelope and the back, so that when you cut or punch, you're not going all the way through. Okay, so now we're just going to turn this way, and I'm going to grab my ruler and my little knife. I love these Testors knives. They're like knives that come with model kits. They're like my favorite. You just use them until they're not sharp anymore, and then I throw them away. I have a really hard time with X-Acto knives and trying to change the blades. It just never seems to work very well for me. So I've always really liked these. Okay, so what I did is I lined up a straight line between the two holes and I cut. And now I'm going to move that over about 1 millimeter or so, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm making a second cut. And we're just making a very narrow little slot from one hole to the other. Okay. Make sure I got both layers of paper there. All right. So I don't know if you can see that. Move that a little bit so there's dark blue behind it. Slot is right here. So now we can put something down inside there. Just like that. Okay. So we will need to, in addition to putting some paper inside the envelope so we don't see this blue, we will also need to put a little strip of paper up here at the top so that we don't see the blue behind that little slot. Okay? All right. So let's just look through one more time and see what this looks like. When we have pages in there, it's going to look really cool. I'll show you the other one in a second that already has the pages in it. So you know where we're going. Oh, that's funny. I never took the rest of that off. I'll clean that up a little bit later. Okay. And there we have it back to the front. Okay, let me just show you the one that's got more done. So this one has some signatures sewed in and some other little things. You can see up here I put a little circle to hold this little coin envelope closed. And we've got some pages in here. I'm just going to flip through them quick, but so you get the idea of how this is going to look. It looks really nice when you get some stuff in there. So I'm wondering if anybody has an opinion. This is one of the ways I'm using some of the smaller envelopes as a separate little booklets within a book here. I was thinking about these, and I like the way they look just as they are right now, and I wondered how people would feel if people would be interested in purchasing a book like this without any decorations in it so that they could put their own stuff in it. I don't know if you have any opinion on that. I'd love to hear it. I've never tried to do that, but I would think that there would definitely be people that would enjoy that. So tell me what you think. I'd like to know. All right. Lots of fun things in here. And then back through the other side. So there's one window envelope there. Okay. Another little extra little book here. This is an envelope. This was an envelope that I made. We can put something in there, and then we've got some cool little pages in here, places to write. We'll do that in another video. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you found it not too challenging. Let's just go back to the bear one that we just made. And I'm just going to open it all up so you can see. It's just one long piece, okay? You're not going to be able to see it all at once, but there it is. So it's just one long piece, and you just fold it back and forth. So if you ever drop your book and it's all messed up, easy to fix. All right, thanks for joining me today. Watch for part 2 here shortly. Have a wonderful day.